I picked this when I was 18 and I really don't enjoy it. But now you feel like you've put money into it, you put effort into it, you've put all this time in building up your resume, and now you want to change it. Like, that can be really hard. Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other because life with your dog just got even more awesome.
In today's episode, we're diving into the conversations that need to happen more often. From money struggles to motherhood pressure, we're getting real about the things that people usually keep quiet and why it's time to stop pretending everything is perfect. This topic actually came because my friend just gave birth and she is struggling with trying to do it all, and specifically breastfeeding, pumping, all of the milk things. And she was like, I wish more people talked about how hard it is. And I was like, you know what? We have this podcast, so let's talk about, from at least my personal experience and things that I've seen on social media. We can talk about that along with other things that we feel like more people should talk about, especially in their 30s, because social media, especially now more than ever, is very deceiving. People are going to post their highlight reel, what they want you to see. They want to look like they have it all together, but behind the scenes, a lot of people are struggling in one way or another. And I guess this is just to say as a blanket statement, you never know what is happening behind the scenes. And so for us, we try to show the good and the bad. And like, if we're struggling or if we hire help, like, we are trying to show that so that, you know, we are as transparent as possible. But I know a lot of people are posting saying like, this is happening. Look what I just bought, when you don't know, like, their financial history, I guess, is like, you know, I've seen so many people saying, how are people in their 30s buying these giant houses and all this? And really it comes down to, you don't know how much debt someone is in at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and I know for us, like, we always like tend to lean towards one to share more of the positive things.
Because that is like our brand essentially is happiness and positivity, and we don't want people coming and being like, oh, all they do is like complain or bring us down and all that. Like, we want to be the happy, but I feel like that is who we are to our core for the most part. Even if like something's hard, we try to find the positive in the situation.
Yeah, we try to look on the bright side and don't like let the bad things, you know, continue to like keep us down day after day after day. But that's not to say that like, yeah, it is important to talk about this stuff, you know, in anything, you know, whether it's business, motherhood, all of that stuff. Sometimes you do need to hear like, oh yeah, other people are going through it too. And you feel like solidarity with that because it's, you know, you're not alone.
I guess it's like part of my parenting advice is, and I saw this somewhere, and I don't know if that's kind of like what shaped me to be this way, but like, if there's not a reason to say no, then I try not to say no. And that's sometimes hard for me because I like to be in control. And like, if I don't want him doing something, sometimes if it's just because I don't want him to, I have to learn to let him do those things. And it's okay. Like, if he makes a mess and I'm going to have to clean it up later, even though I don't want to, sometimes that's good for him and allows me to like do something else, and it entertains him. Now, if it's dangerous, obviously I have to say no. So if he's about to jump off the couch, I have to tell him no so he learns not to do that. But
or eat a rock.
If it's him crawling in the dirt and I don't want him to get dirty so I don't have to wash him off, like, I'm going to let him crawl in the dirt because it's not hurting anyone. He's having a good time. And I don't want to be the parent that always says no and doesn't allow him to have fun just because I don't want to wash him off.
I thought you were going to struggle with that more than you have. You've done a really good job of like, you know, being that way and letting him do those things. You know, a lot of times I thought you were, because you do like that control. And I thought like, well, we'll see like how that happens. And
but I do want him to enjoy his childhood. And I know, like, for me, I think this is just ingrained in me. This does not have to do with my parents' parenting. I just think for me, like, I never wanted to have to clean the things up so I wouldn't play with them. And it's like, I don't want him to feel like he can't play because he can't get dirty or something. Like, he's just going to have to learn that if he gets dirty, he's going to have to get clean. And sometimes he doesn't want to be wiped down, but that's just the way it is. Like, he's going to have to learn those kind of consequences. But overall, I want him to think that he can play and have fun, and then we can clean it up later.
Yeah, no, I think you've done extremely good with that.
Thank you.
I'm kind of like that way just by my nature, I would say. I'm like more chill. I think maybe guys are generally more that way. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the breastfeeding thing because that was what sparked this whole thing. She was saying, like, can you tell me, she was asking specific questions like, how long are you breastfeeding on each side and all this? And can you tell me that it gets easier? And I was like, honestly, we're like 9-10 months into this, and it gets easier because you're more confident in what you're doing. In the beginning, you're establishing your milk supply. You have literally no idea what you're doing. Your baby also has no idea what they're doing. And your body is trying to figure out how much milk to produce, how often to produce it. It's literally so much of trying to figure everything out, even like the baby latching and like how long and all that stuff. And it can be very intimidating. So it gets easier in the sense that you are so much more confident. Your body knows like what to do at that point, but it, in my opinion at least, it hasn't gotten easier in the time consumption. Like he still eats very frequently, like every 2 hours, and you know, it's very demanding on your body.
I feel like you've gotten that part hasn't gotten easier. You've gotten more used to it though.
Yes.
I think you've kind of like, you know, normalized this is just the way that it is. But yeah, that first, like, I would say 1 to 2 months was like, I mean, the first month Callan basically wouldn't breastfeed.
Yeah.
And you tried a lot of different times, a lot of different methods, and like he just wouldn't do it. And so like, I'm sure that was like super maddening. And then finally after that, it started to click for you guys. But it really seemed like the first 2 months were really tough.
I think it can be I feel like one of the biggest struggles is like the mental part, because it can be isolating. You don't know what you're doing. You don't really have anyone to guide you through it. Like, unless you have a lactation consultant, which like at the hospital we did, but we didn't see them after. And it's hard to find like good videos on that because they're not going to show like someone's private part, I guess. And so you're kind of just having to figure it out, which can be really hard. But also like if you're trying to be social and go out and do things, I didn't feel comfortable being exposed. I know it's fine. And like a lot of women are comfortable in that, and that's good for them because it is just a part of your body and nature and stuff. But for me, I don't feel comfortable being exposed. So it would be isolating to like have to go back to my car or go in a private room, especially if it was a big social gathering, like a party or something. You have to isolate yourself if you didn't want to be exposed. And that can be really hard as well. But I've gotten more comfortable just doing it in a public setting. And I think that's because I would rather do that than be isolated. But that took me a long time to be comfortable. And if we go out to dinner, like I'm definitely not doing it at the table still. I'm not comfortable in that sense. But if we're in a home of our home or our parents' home, I'm more comfortable just staying on the couch rather than going in a private room.
Well, you've also figured out a way to like do it like kind of like low key where you're not like just whipping it out.
My number one essential in my pregnancy, my postpartum, and breastfeeding are the corded crews.
Yeah.
If I am wearing a corded crew, I am confident that like it can just lay on top and I'm comfortable, he's comfortable, and there's plenty of room to lift it up. And you know, it's just the number one essential for me. I wear those almost every day because I know it's easy. That's another thing for breastfeeding for me. I'm like, I don't know how women are wearing cute clothes and are able to go out and about, because my brain is working around what can I easily lift up or lift down to feed my baby if we're going somewhere. And
yeah, you don't want to have to fully
like
undress.
The outfit I'm wearing now, wearing a romper, like I have to take this all the way off my arm to feed him, which is very hard. So if I'm going out and about, I'm trying to wear some type of top and bottom because a shirt is the easiest thing.
But when you have to take like that all the way off your shoulder, then you really do feel more exposed.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be wearing this out and about. If I was going to a coffee shop even, I would not wear this because I wouldn't feel comfortable taking it off my arm in public.
Yeah, that makes it definitely harder.
I feel like there's an unspoken like thing that you should be enjoying this. A lot of women say that it's bonding time with your baby, and I do understand that, but I think overall, like, if you're not enjoying it, that's also normal, especially with the pump. Like, I don't know that I've ever met anyone personally who says, I like pumping or I enjoy this pump. It's just something that as women, if breastfeeding is what you want to do. You're just trying to get through it so that you can provide for your baby. And I feel like a lot of women are motivated by the money aspect of not having to buy formula because it's so expensive. And for me, it was nice knowing that I always had milk wherever we went and didn't have to make sure we had formula with us. Like I didn't have to pack a whole bag and to go somewhere.
Or continue to clean bottles or any of that
cleaning
stuff.
the stuff is a whole nother thing. So
the other thing too that definitely like I noticed is like obviously in the beginning like you had the desire. This is only for people that I guess have the desire to breastfeed, but you had a desire to want to do it. But then like as you're learning it and like he wasn't doing it and like y'all are learning together, like that whole process is very frustrating. So it's like I want to be breastfeeding and why isn't this going easy? Why isn't it clicking? It seems like some people just do it so easily. And like if you watch you now, it's like she does it seamlessly. It's so easy for them. But it's like it wasn't that way, the first 2 months.
Yeah.
So in like that
and
whole
it's
frustration.
Gone backwards now that he has teeth. It's super painful. And so I'm sitting there in pain as he's eating and there's nothing I can really do about it. My option would be to pump, which I don't want to do either. So I feel like, or to give him formula, which I'm like, I have the milk. So I feel like I should continue with the milk. And we're so close to the year mark, which is when he won't fully need breast milk anymore. So I'm like so close to the end, I might as well just continue on, but it is painful and I'm just trying to stick it through.
Yeah, he's probably kind of at his like maybe his peak feeding for like just the amount because like he eats so much now from you.
So my mom has a few coworkers who are breastfeeding, but they're back at work. So when they're at work, they're pumping. And my mom's like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe how often they have to go to the room and pump. It's like every hour and a half to 2 hours. And I'm like, yeah, mom, that's how it works. Like literally every 2 hours I'm feeding Callan. Like it is crazy how demanding it is, but she has been so far, like she had me 30 years ago. She's just like so shocked at how often you have to do it. And it's not just about providing enough milk for your baby, but it's about keeping your milk supply up.
Well, and for you, like if you didn't do that, you'd like start leaking. Like
yeah.
They know like, okay, it's been 2 hours. It's time for the baby to feed. If the baby's not there, then you got to pump.
It's crazy how your body knows and it starts like coming out if it's past time.
Yeah, it does. At least for you.
Well, there is a lot more we could say about breastfeeding, but we can change to a new topic. But if you have any questions or just want to vent, I'm always here. And I will try to be a lending ear.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need, I feel like, in a situation like that. It's just like knowing that you're not alone and maybe somebody to talk to it about. And a lot of times, like just like one person's piece of advice can like really make a difference for you, even if that's just a feeling of like, yeah, I'm not alone in this.
The next thing that I wanted to talk about that people should talk more about is wanting to change paths like in your 30s or even later, because you definitely feel isolated because you've gone out of high school, basically you turn 18 and the world's like, figure out what you want to do. And you're still a baby at that point. Like, how are you supposed to know what you want to do? And then, 10, 20 years down the road, you're like, I picked this when I was 18 and I really don't enjoy it. But now you feel like you've put money into it, you put effort into it, you've put all this time in building up your resume, and now you want to change it. Like, that can be really hard.
Yeah, it really is difficult. Like what you're talking about is like trying to overcome the sunk cost fallacy of like all this time and effort and like saying that like, oh, well, because I've put all this time and effort into it that I must continue on, where it's like you've already paid that stuff. You've already put in the time, whatever, it's gone. You can't ever get that back. So don't let that, don't stay doing that just, for that reason.
In my opinion, it depends on the career path. Like if you were going to school to be a doctor, you get into the field and you're like, I don't like this. That's a little bit different. But for the
like you've put in too much time, you got to stay with it.
No, you can definitely change too. But for many other people who have a basic degree, whether it be business or communications or anything like that, you can change and know that even though if you want to go from, I don't know, being an editor of a newspaper to doing social media marketing, those seem like two different worlds, but you have learned skills that will allow you to succeed in the total opposite path, whether you think it or not. If you sit down and think, what have I done in my life that would help me be successful in this other path? I think you'd be surprised how many things you've learned that would actually help you.
Yeah, no, I mean that's very true.
'Cause
The
that's how
harder
we
part though is
felt.
like getting the opportunity.
Because we were like, okay, we've started our own business. We've been doing this. Like, in the grand scheme, we are much more than this. But if you had to say one sentence of what we do, we make handmade dog bandanas. You're like, okay, if I wanted to go get a traditional job working at a hotel again, how would I get that job? But when I started thinking more about it, I'm like, okay, I have learned so many things that would allow me to be successful at that job, even though it has nothing to do with handmade dog bandanas. And I think a lot of people would have those skills, whether you think so or not. Even if you didn't go to college, and if you have been in a working field, you have learned something that will allow you to be successful in your life, in a different path, whatever thing you want to achieve.
No, I 100% agree with that. I think the hardest part is you just have to convince the people that are trying to hire you that that's the case.
Yes, exactly. But you got to be your own salesperson.
Yeah, you have to. But yeah, no, it is really hard. Like once you've put in, a decade plus into something to think, should I pivot? It's like, that also gets into the unknown a bit. It's like, I know this, even if I don't like it, sometimes you'd rather stay in a situation that you don't like just because you're comfortable.
I think the most common thing for people, especially in their 30s, like that age frame, that I've talked to friends about is not being happy in what you're doing, but not knowing what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's so true for so many people.
That would be us. If we closed the doors to Tails Up Pup and went and got a different job,
we
don't know what we would want to do.
Yeah, I have no idea. There's not like this, like, oh, this is what I would go do. The only thing I can think of is like, I'd want to do something about like running another business, because like we've been business owners for, so long now. It's like, but at the same time, like maybe the things that I don't like about that, I wouldn't want to continue to do again. I don't know.
And I think people like in my mom's generation will be like, it doesn't matter if you like your job or not. Like, as long as you can keep it and pay your bills, like you just suffer through your job and then you enjoy your time outside of your job. I don't necessarily think that's true. And I think more people in our generation and even the generation below us are more about finding something you enjoy and not having to suffer through a job just to pay the bills.
Yeah, that definitely is. Like, to me, that whole mindset just like sounds crazy in the sense of like, because like thinking about it that way, it's like, okay, 40 hours a week, I'm going to be like unhappy. Now, on the flip side of that, there's this idea of like, you can't just be so picky. Like there's a lot of things. Like I think people that even really do enjoy their jobs, there's a lot of things that they still don't love. It's still work. It's still, you can't just say like, oh, well, I really want to do nothing. That you have to go to a job, you have to work, you have to do those things. But like, yeah, would you want to maximize the amount of stuff in that job that you enjoy? And so that's where I think the fit is. Like and for me, like in a job, because I had a job that I really didn't like, I found out I really, really dislike a like direct sales role where I'm the person responsible for like finding clients. I don't like to have to sell cold people. I don't like that at all.
Even though you kind of do that now.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
I do.
Yeah. Well, but you're not doing it in a one-on-one setting.
No.
Like doing that type of stuff, like I found out like that I do not like, and I'm miserable doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's a situation where like the career had to change.
All right, next topic. Are you ready for it?
Let's go.
Body image.
Okay.
As you age, your body is changing. You're no longer a teenager. You're growing up. Your body is changing. And the way that you view yourself is going to have to change too. And for me personally...
I still view myself as a young person.
Well, you are.
Yeah, okay.
Relatively.
Yeah.
I feel like... Do you feel like men also deal with this as much as women? Like body image as they're aging?
Yes and no. I think like there's multiple layers to the body image. I've actually asked this question to a lot of different people, and I'll ask you guys. No matter how old you are, and when you think in your head, like close your eyes and you think in your head, how old do you feel? I actually feel like when I've asked a lot of people that question, most of the time, like even people that are getting older, like they still feel younger, unless they have some big health thing that's like really, crippled them for some reason. A lot of times, like mentally, you could be 60, 65 and like, you still feel like, a 30 or 40-year-old, you feel younger than you are. But I think you're seeming to maybe ask more about like your appearance and like that type of body image.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, that changes as we get older, and I'm having to get more used to like I'm not like being okay that like I definitely look like I'm a 30-year-old now.
Yeah.
You know, like that's. I kind of, you know, we asked Keelan back in the day, and if you don't know Keelan was somebody that worked with us, and he was in high school, and I asked him, I was probably 28 at the time, I was like, how old do I look to you? And as an 18-year-old, he told me, he's like, you look 35. And it's like, I was
very
like,
offended.
I wasn't that offended, but yeah, it's just like, oh my gosh, he's viewing me as a 35-year-old. Like that seemed so old kind of to me at the time. Like, or at least like, I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my self-image wasn't that, but like now I'm having to come to terms more with like, you know, that's okay. 35 is not that old.
I would say as you get older, like your strength, your identity, your functionality all changes. Like as you get older, you've probably come across some type of injury. Like, you know, everyone experiences something, and you're going to have to learn to do life differently or cope in some way. And so you can make changes, like we've said, of a diet change or going to a gym or trying to get stronger. But even something that I have been dealing with more, especially postpartum, is my wardrobe, and finding a few pieces that you feel like flatter your body type can be really life-changing in the way that you see your body and that you feel confident and beautiful in your own skin. Because a lot of us, I feel like, at least for me, I have clothes that I've had for 10 years. So I had bought them when I was 20 years old. You're still in college. Like that's not only who I am and the things that I'm attending, but that I also don't have the same body type that I had then. And so getting rid of those clothes that no longer serve a purpose for me, and I'm not just hoarding them because I want to have a more colorful wardrobe or look like I have more clothes. Like that's not important to me. I'm going to get those clothes out that don't serve me a purpose. And even if I only have a few things in my wardrobe, that's okay, because clothes are expensive. Life is expensive. But having a few things that I can mix and match or feel confident and beautiful in, that's what's most important to me now, and I think could be beneficial if you're listening and looking for advice.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely have found that. Like, I used to never be like the black t-shirt guy, and it's like I found a black t-shirt. I'm like, I like the way I look in a black t-shirt, and so I have a lot of them.
Something else that's very popular right now is the color analysis, and I feel like the more videos I see of that can completely change the way that you not only look to other people, but how you feel about yourself. If you don't know what colors look better on you and your hair and your skin tone, all of that stuff, it can drastically change the way that you look. And so I do think that you should wear what you want to wear. And if you like green, even if it doesn't necessarily fit your color analysis, if you like it, then you should wear it. But having a color analysis done, do you even know about these?
No, but it makes total sense. Like there's lots of colors that I'm like, with your skin tone, your hair, I'm like, you look really good in that.
Yes. So it definitely is a thing. I don't know how much it costs. I don't think it's astronomical because plenty of people are doing it, but that's not necessarily true, I guess. But if you could, maybe that would be cool to do too.
Yeah, it would be cool.
But I guess that, like I said, wardrobes are expensive. That was like the other topic I had in money, debt, all of that stuff. Like most people have some type of debt, and like obviously they're not going to flaunt that on social media. So
look how much debt I have.
I did. I'm pretty sure we talked about this in a different podcast, but I had a friend talking about this influencer going on all these vacations and all this stuff, and she's like, how does she afford it? And I'm like, well, first of all, our lives are very different than influencer lives, and you should not compare them. But like the average person who's posting, like if they're going on a vacation every other week or something, how are they affording that? Like you have to know how much money you make, how much your bills are, just like groceries and all that stuff, and how much money you have left. Like if you want to go do something and you don't have the money for it, you're going to have to swipe a credit card and then pay it off over time. And same with buying a car and buying a house. Like everything is so expensive now that it's impossible to keep up with an image that someone is portraying on social media that isn't a reality for the average person.
Yeah, that is so true. And I'm so glad that we've paid off most of our debt. We now have like our cars and our house and stuff, but like we finally become, besides those things, I'd say debt free, which has been good.
I actually saw a Dave Ramsey like little clip recently. Is he controversial or no?
Some people think he is.
Well, I don't watch his stuff and I don't really know anything about him, which is why I don't know if he's controversial or not. But he was posting like a phone call with a couple and they were $1 million in debt.
That is, how do you even climb out of that?
He was like, that's bad, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it was like house, cars, and like 300,000 of it was credit card debt.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, if you think about like this idea of like, well, I want it, and like that's why the credit card is such a slippery slope, and is like, I think they're great if you pay them off every month and to have them for a true emergency. But besides that, like, you literally can, dig yourself in such a hole. I've only done like the credit card thing like once where I didn't pay it off and like had to, catch up, and like I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Like
it's so
the interest is so insane. And
yeah,
it's
you're
like,
paying money for no reason other than they lent you the money, I guess, technically.
Yeah. They lend you the money for a month.
And then they're going to make a lot of money.
and then you're going to be stuck paying that minimum payment like literally forever. And yeah, the credit cards can be so dangerous. And like I said, I've gone down that path one time, and I'll never do it again because like it was hard to climb out of that hole.
I guess my advice is something that we have done. We haven't done it in like almost a year because we stopped doing it right when Callum was born just because of time. But we had a budget sheet, and again, it's like the counting calories in food. It makes you double guess yourself on, is this actually important? Do I really need this, or am I making an impulse buy? And so if you have a budget sheet, it basically, you can probably find templates on Etsy or online, and like
Google Sheets had the template we used.
Okay, so we just used Google Sheets. Super easy. You put in how much money you have made for the month, and then you put all of your essentials like your bills and stuff, and then you can see how much extra money you have, how much you want to save. And then let's say I wanted to buy new clothes. It's like, okay, well, if I'm going to buy these things now, I'm spending $500. Like, I didn't have $500, so that would have pushed us over into debt, or you pull from savings. Where is this money coming from? It really makes you think, wow, I don't actually have that much extra money to spend, and am I going to spend it on this? And also, if you like to be social, it's like going out to a bar, going to a coffee shop, all those things add up. It's crazy because in the moment you're like, okay, I'm just going to buy this $8 coffee. $8, that's nothing. But if you keep doing it, and then you end up buying a bagel while you're at it, and then you wanted a second coffee, and then
you go shopping after and you buy one thing of clothes. It's just one piece of clothing, but
it is crazy how quickly it all adds up. And
we need to get back to that because it does feel like our credit card bill has started to rise up a little bit. And I've not been buying books, so I know it's not me.
We do have another head in the family now.
I think it is Callan. Yeah. He's swiping the card.
He eats a lot of food.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He's a hungry boy.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes obviously things need to like get bought. Like, so you needed a new pair of shoes, like those things, whatever. But like when we had the budget, it was nice because you knew like, okay, we budgeted things for that, and if you hadn't spent it that month, then you got it. If not, you can roll it over for like when you need to do that. It actually makes it to where it's like kind of guilt-free spending when you do spend, because it's like we know that we have it and we can.
It's crazy because in like the budgeting sheet, if you say, I'm only going to have $100 of fun spending money for the month. If you needed a new pair of shoes, like the shoes I got were $150.
Yeah.
Like that's more than my fun budget. So I would get $0 for 1 month so I could have enough money the next month. And then still you barely have any to actually go do anything fun. Like if we wanted to go out to dinner, nope, there was no fun money left. If we wanted to go get a coffee, like we just never do that because to us, is it important money? Now, that's not to say you just have to choose what's most important for you, because if going to a coffee shop is important to you, then you should do that and just budget it in.
Yeah, exactly. You choose what's the important things, and that's what you spend on.
But I feel like it even makes you really second guess like what is most important to you if you're buying a house or buying a car, because you're like, okay, this is what my payment will be for this house versus this house. And you're like, do I really need the bigger, more expensive house? Or would I be okay with this other house that's a little bit cheaper to allow me to go be more social or to buy these other things that I want? So I think having it written down so you can actually see it, because it's, again, so easy to say, this is just $10 or this is just $5. It adds up so quickly.
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, at the end of the day, like all of these things just come down to like, your priorities and, like what is important, with your food, that type of stuff. And, And just know that it is not easy, any of these things.
And whether you're looking on social media and people are making it look easy, know that it's not, and it's okay to admit that it's hard, and try to find a friend or someone to lean on that you can talk to who won't judge you and will just listen if you need someone to talk to, or if you need advice and, guidance in figuring something out. And you could even message your best friend and say, hey, I've never budgeted before and I'm interested in doing this. Would you be interested in trying to figure it out with me? And having someone to sit down and you even set up the sheet with you for the first time. It's nice if you don't have a partner and you need to lean on someone to have a friend help you do it. The last thing I will say is also vacations. Just as it's summertime and you're seeing all of your friends and social media and influencers going on vacation, know that it is okay to not. And for us, we had a baby, we have done all these things. For us, it's just not in the budget to go on a week-long beach vacation, because that also adds up so quickly. If you're renting a beach house and have to have food and the gas to get there, it's just so expensive to do. And it's sad because you're seeing these other people going to the beach and having a good time. And we have such fond memories and we would love to take Callan and do that, but it just doesn't make sense for us right now. And so we were okay, well, what could we do instead? And we were looking, maybe we can go somewhere close and just spend a night in a cabin or 2 nights in Chattanooga. And it was there were much cheaper options. Going to Chattanooga for 2 nights would be $300 instead of going to the beach for a few $1,000s. And so just know that it is okay if you are sad and want to do something and you can't, and you could make long-term plans to do it and have something to look forward to and say, okay, if I don't go to the coffee shop all this year, I save all that money, I could put it all in a fund to save and go to the beach. You could do something like that. Or you could do a staycation. Nick was well, there's this beach down the street. It's a lake?
Yeah.
There's a lake beach. Why don't we just do a day trip to go over there? And I'm you know what? If we can't go to the beach, then we'll go to the local beach, and that will be our fun activity for the summer. And I've seen people make local summer bucket lists and cheap or free things that you can do in your area. Also, the library has passes. I know that it's hard to get your hands on them, but if you're able to keep your eyes on what's available, you might be able to go to the zoo for free and all these museums for free. So look at your resources and what you can do for free, and I think will be surprised at how many things you can do. And also, if you're going to the beach or something and you can pack your own lunch, or going to the park, that is also a way to save money, still be able to go do something, but not have to spend way more money by doing that.
And I mean, a lot of this stuff, sometimes it's just seasons of life. You know what? It's with a baby, it's a lot harder to do some of the stuff that we used to. And it's not that we'll never do those things again. It's just right now, it's a little bit more difficult to do some of those things.
And as a mom, I'm oh, I want to give him all these things and have him enjoy them and experience them. And I want to go to the beach with my baby. But at the end of the day, he probably won't remember it, and he'll enjoy it more in a few years anyways. And while it's sad for me, I know that is the best thing. And if we can't afford to go to the beach every single year, or and go into debt because of it, to me, it's not worth it. And so we're okay, let's just not do it. And then in a few years, we can have one really good trip. And to us, that's more important than going into debt for.
Yeah. And I mean, I totally feel the sacrifices, right now, we basically don't go out to eat. I don't think that we've gone out to eat where we've we had a lot of Uber Eats gift cards and stuff from when Callan was born. I don't think we've actually paid for us to go out to eat in a long time.
We just don't go out that often, and when we do, we go somewhere that someone's given us a gift card
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Or Nick's parents will take us out to eat, something like that. But we have not gone. And a lot of people will say that that's bad because when you have a newborn, you need to have time for yourself and go on a date night. For us, I feel it's just not the season of life we're in, and having to pay a babysitter and then pay for dinner, it's just not in the budget right now. And so that's okay. I feel we as a couple are still able to thrive because we spend enough time together by working together and stuff that it allows us to, if we were going separate ways and barely had any time together, it might be different. But for us, we feel it's okay for us right now.
And I mean, sometimes for me, I really feel I'm on the, Danielle's on the grind of breastfeeding. I'm on the grind of like cooking. Like I'm cooking pretty much every meal for our family. And because like we're never going out to eat, I'm never getting a break. So it's like 7 days a week, I'm cooking every meal, plus, also a lot of times like snacks and all that type of stuff. So like that, really does add up. And sometimes it really is a grind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's the season of life we're in, and I'm strapping in, and it's like there's no end in sight, and it just is what we do,
Yeah.
So, and I mean, that doesn't make it easy, but it's kind of like, the gym. It's like, if I want to be in shape, some days I don't feel like it, but I put my shoes on and I go. And this is the way that it is. And, life is not always easy, and it's okay that it's not easy. But sometimes it's nice to acknowledge that it's not easy and feel that with other people versus like just seeing like everybody like out of these vacations or going out to eat and all this type of stuff. And it's like, it's okay for it to not be easy. And, like there's other people that are in the same boat as you.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.